What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. Thank the Lord for working internet, for working computers. We have been testing the system out. We should not have any problem today whatsoever. And guess what? It's a good day for that because Bitcoin has hit new all-time highs once again for the first time in just a couple of days. But the question that we are asking is, when will 100K happen? If this breakout sustains and is still on the table, we could be seeing it happen in the next couple of days. We're going to break that down on the charts for you. We also have some bullish headlines for Bitcoin, for KASPA, and also for the crypto space as a whole. That big news coming actually out of China. You don't want to miss a single second of today's show. We got some good topics to go over. But first, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and we've got to roll the intro. Here we go. T-Shroom, how you feeling today?
Oh, Tim, I'm feeling better than I deserve. I really am. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, this computer looks to be working very well. Got my new, it's like a new, what does Snake call it? It's a block or something, but effectively it powers. I mean, because I'm streaming off a laptop. I have a Apple laptop here, and so I guess I had too many plugins with like the dongles that was like causing the camera and the microphone to really kind of get jacked up. And then I think on top of that, I think we had some sort of weird thing happening with our operating system. Either way, it's all been fixed.
Yes.
We've been testing. We tested it this morning. We tested it this afternoon. We were testing it all the time, and we have had no glitches whatsoever. So hopefully our technical difficulties have come to an end. And again, couldn't have been a better time, because that would have been terrible for having technical difficulties on the day that Bitcoin starts to break out once again. It's cooling off here. We're going to go to my charts here. Go to my chart here real quickly before we get into our intro and kind of setting up the crypto market as a whole. What we're talking about here, Bitcoin is back down to lower $93,000 levels, but we eclipsed the high we had back here on the 13th. We briefly got above $94,000 today, and there's some signs on here that are not surprising me whatsoever, that make me still believe that we're going to be going up towards 100,000. If you were in our VIP trading group, you even got in on a good little trade setup that we have going on. If you want to get in on another trade, though, make sure to join our VIP trading group so that you can get more access to information just like that. Whether you're experienced in trading or even if you're newer, you have no idea what you're doing, we have so many great people. We have scalp traders in there. We have day traders. We have swing traders. Wherever your experience is, we are here to help you become a better and more profitable trader. Go check those out in the BroLux memberships today in the description down below. T-Shroom, you ready to get in onto the bubbles and what's going on in the market? Anything you have for the people before we go there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing that I'll point out is that the S&P 500, the NASDAQ are both pumping today too. They've had, I'll briefly show my screen here. They've had a bit of a little bit of a pullback here recently, and I'm on the Qs here from 515 down to 495. So nothing crazy. It's a very routine pullback. But now it looks like the Qs have found support, ready to push higher. S&P 500 having a similar price structure as well. So that's a bit of the backdrop of what's going on the stock market side.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit of context, it's risk on.
Shout out to Yair Navarro with the super chat here. He said, I just want to thank you, Investing Bros. I'm up 500. Not 500. I said that wrong. 5,696% with CoinW. Today, I took 35% of my gains, and I'm paying off my 2 cars.
Wow.
Yair Navarro, first of all, thank you so much for the support. And also, that is amazing. That's exactly what we like to hear. Being able to use trading and use crypto to live life. Here's the thing. Crypto's not the end-all, be-all. Money and value is not the end-all, be-all. The question is, what can you do when you have wealth? Not only for yourself and your family, but for people around you as well. And hearing testimonies like that is just music to my ears that we are on the right track. Thank you so much for that. By the way, if you guys are wondering what he's talking about, CoinW is one of the exchanges that we use here in Investing Bros to do some trading. Check out the links down below for CoinW and for Blofin. Both of these exchanges allow you to begin trading extremely easily in our VIP trading group. We also teach you guys how to set them up and get them going so you can start trading today. No VPN, no KYC required if you're here in the United States. Go sign up with one of those links. And by the way, when you're signed up with either CoinW or Blofin, you're entered to win $500 at the end of the month. Every single month, not just 1 month. Every month you're signed up, you get access to potentially win $500. Go sign up today. Let's get in here, T-Shroom. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening with the bubbles. We got a sea of green with the exception of a couple outliers here. Kaspa's down a little bit. We'll talk about that one actually later on in the show because today is a very big day for Kaspa. If you don't know what we're talking about, stick around. We'll get there. But remember, over the last couple of days, XTZ or Tezos was one of the big gainers. What goes up usually ends up coming down at least a little bit. Same thing where things go down, they usually end up bouncing back. But if you're wondering why it's down so much today, it's because it had such a great rally. But some of our big gainers here today, Bonk, down here, 16.1%. So money still flowing into our memes. Peanut, up 13.1%. Now, I was talking about this a little bit with our trading community. Before we move too much further, I really want to stress caution to people trading and looking for a longer-term investment in Peanut. Obviously, Peanut, the meme, is based off the tragic story of Peanut the squirrel who was taken from his owner, and he's no longer with us. I don't want to say words on YouTube that trigger anything bad, but a meme just popped out, right before election season. This popped on the screen, did major gains. I just want to stress to people that this is not a meme that will make it forever. Peanut is not on the same level as Bonk or Doge or Sheeb or Brett. It's a very new coin. And the truth is it's not going to be one I imagine sticks around very long. So anyone who's sitting here watching Peanut charts and saying, where can I get a new entry? I just want to caution you. These are the ones that have the history, the tales of being what we call pump and dumps, where something comes up and people from all around the world just pump millions of dollars into it, and people make a lot of money. But then the meme wears off. There's nothing inherently valuable about Peanut, the coin. So the meme wears off. People take their profits. No one there with any value buys the dip, and it ends up leaving newer investors at the top holding the bag, and they lose everything. So, R.I.P. Peanut, right? We love Peanut. That story was very tragic, but don't buy the coin thinking it's a long-term hold. I just want to caution you guys on that one. Some other coins doing well today. GRT is doing well. Algo is doing well. Render, HBAR. HBAR continues to have a nice little pump after some great news they've received over the last couple of days. Ondo back up over $1. Some people wonder about Ondo. We might have to talk about Ondo a little bit, T-Shroom, because as we get closer, I believe the date is January 18th. January 18th, there's a massive unlock on Ondo, and people are worried and asking questions. So maybe we'll talk about it today. If we run out of time, it will be something we'll talk about later this week. We're going to talk about Ondo holders. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump in. We normally jump into stories and then go into charts. But today, the number one story is the charts, and that is the Bitcoin chart. Let's go back to it over here, T-Shroom. Now, I'm on the 1 hour chart, and something you'll see that's different about my chart from yesterday. Yesterday, I had a resistance line that looked a little bit more like this. Okay, so I'll get rid of this one here for just a second. It was more of a symmetrical triangle pattern. Okay, but sometimes you have to back out. When you get new information, you have to back out and change some things. Well, this formation is a good formation. We broke out of that, of course, early this morning, it looks like. There's something that I'm looking at that I want to redraw. I'm not going to be this kind of person who says, well, I had this line drawn before, so that has to be it. Sometimes you got to take in new information and address what's going on here. And if you take a look at what's happening here, you really shouldn't even have a flat line. This is more of like a zone. I want to kind of talk about it here. But if you look right here, the amount of resistance since this high back on November 13th, right in this area, it makes us look more like a ascending triangle than a symmetrical triangle. And you might be saying, Tim, what's the significance? What's the difference? Both of them would be called bull pennants attached to a bullish breakout here we've had more recently. But this is actually pretty major change in psychology of how the markets work. Let me explain what we're talking about here. So earlier in November, after election season, we're pumping, we're hitting new highs. We have all this volatility. We come up, and yes, we closed a couple hourly candles above, but for the most part, we closed in this area. If we were to go, let's say, to the 4-hour chart, for example, we closed in this area below $93,000, kind of really in the camp about 92.5. All right, then after rejecting on this area, we fell down. We came all the way back down and went down to 87,000. Okay, so the bears clearly showed this was a good sell-off. Let's push the price down towards 87,000. Well, after this, the bulls said, all right, good support level. Let's buy up the dip. Okay, they rallied back up into a similar zone here around 92,000 and were rejected. So the bears pushed back again, but this time instead of being able to go all the way back down towards 87,000, they were only able to make it back to 89. What this says is, while the bears had mounted a pretty good level of resistance here in the $92,000 region, their pushes kept getting weaker and weaker. We rallied again and made a push back up to 92.5. Then we fell, but this time we couldn't even make it down to 89. We only made it down to 89.6. What's my point here? Well, now that we're breaking out, the whole point of this formation, what it's communicating is that there was a stone wall up here at $92,500 that the bears were defending pretty staunchly. But they got weaker with every single push. And the way to think about this support level, the way to think about this zone right here is imagine a slab of concrete and you have a sledgehammer. Now, the first time you hit that slab of concrete, maybe nothing happens. But the second time you hit it, maybe you start to see a little bit of a crack. And the third time, the crack gets larger. And eventually, the more and more you hammer that concrete, it eventually will break, the floodgates will open, and, depending on what's underneath that concrete or what's above it, things will start to happen. In this case, the concrete was the $92,500 range. And we beat on that and beat on that and beat on that, and now we have broken through. And this, ladies and gentlemen, going back to my screen, would give us a conservative breakout. What you do for these breakouts, you go to the bottom, those recent support touch, to the top of the range. You move it over to the breakout spot, and this gives us a price prediction just above that psychological level of 100,000, up at 100,000. You can almost say 101,000 because it's like 100,997. Either way, this formation, even in a very conservative format, would take us above 100,000. Of course, if you want to get more aggressive, if you want to talk about the bull pennant still being in play, that, of course, would send the price a lot higher, up here towards $110,000. So we'll have to kind of monitor over the next couple of days what that looks like. But what we are seeing absolutely communicates that this level of resistance that's been blocking us since the 13th has been smashed through. And there's a very, very good chance that Bitcoin ends up breaking to the upside and hits 100K within the next couple of days. As we start to turn on some indicators, we have take profit signals, say on the 4-hour chart up here at 97. If you come out here to the daily chart, though, it's starting to get extended to where? Up here at 100K. While we are seeing still signs of, and I'll have to readdress this one here in a second. Let's actually look at the 4-hour chart real quickly to address that. While we are seeing signs that the daily chart's overextended, this 4-hour chart is really what has me excited. I tracked this for you guys yesterday. Remember when my internet was going in and out and I kept getting kicked off? We were talking about this chart right here. This is the Lux Algo Oscillator. This is a suppression that we have seen since back here on the 13th. We were setting up a symmetrical triangle pattern on the oscillator. And I told you guys when we broke through this, this would be the sign that the breakout was coming. Well, guess what? This has corresponded exactly perfectly with the breakout above the former resistance. It also is showing us a breakout of consolidation on the oscillator. You were going to see the MACD has crossed bullish. The RSI is the highest it's been since way back here on the 14th. All of these are showing the 4-hour chart is saying we are extremely bullish. And even when you go to the daily chart, because some people might say, but Tim, aren't we overbought on the daily chart? Well, maybe we're overbought. Yeah, we're 100% overbought on the RSI. We're probably going to end up seeing some form of bearish divergence. But you know what happens to accomplish bearish divergence? To get bearish divergence, you have to have a higher high with price action with a lower high in oscillators. Are we getting reversal signals? Absolutely we are. Reversal, bearish momentum. We don't quite have negative money flow yet until it crosses below that thin green line, but we're getting very, very close. I think, and this is a very clear I think thing. You know, a lot of times I just want to show you what the charts are saying. But if I was to guess what this is going to look like, I predicted this a long time ago, and we're sitting in a spot that looks like this could play out perfectly to how I predicted. I think, T-Shroom, that what's going to happen here is that Bitcoin is going to hit the psychological level. The millions of people who have take profit levels at 100K are going to be able to take profit. We will reject on that level and come back down. I think probably at least 10%, if not closer to 15 to 20, down towards 80,000. I think the oscillators during that same time frame will have a lower high, will set up some bearish divergence, and that will be the excuse to have a miniature sell-off on Bitcoin that will allow altcoins to rally, and this will be the official start of altcoin season. It always corresponds with a dip in Bitcoin's price, a dip in Bitcoin dominance, and a rally dramatically in a lot of the altcoin space. If you're looking at things right now, there's a couple altcoins that are definitely overextended. We'll look at them later on in the show. But alts are not screaming overextended in the same way Bitcoin is. Because, again, Bitcoin is in price discovery mode. It's sitting at all-time highs. It's creating new ones now almost daily. There's definitely a flow that's going to happen here, and it's on the table that we're going to see altcoin season happen maybe within the next couple of days. I originally said January. I recently revised that to the first week of December. T-Shroom, there's a chance we see it happen sometime around or before Thanksgiving. When we finally hit 100K, we start to cool off, alts start to go crazy. It's too early to say that's happening for certain, but I'll tell you this right now, the charts are telling a story that is absolutely on the table. Look for coins like Ethereum, Solana, and a couple others that haven't necessarily popped in the same way that a lot of the other coins have. Look for them to take over here in the next couple of days and true alt season to begin very, very soon. Bitcoin sells off because of a psychological $100,000 level. Altcoins that are underbought end up rallying. That's my take on how I think things are going to happen, and it could happen extremely soon. T-Shroom, before we get in the news, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's plausible? Is there any reason to think that that's kind of an unrealistic thinking? Do you think we blast through 100K and we go to maybe that 110 we were talking about with the bull pennant?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm sitting here thinking is like, if we get to 100,000, we've heard that there's a lot of institutions that want that number. Like that's their number. They're not thinking about Bitcoin in the same way that you and I are thinking about, buy low, sell high. They're thinking acquire and loan the Bitcoin out for an interest fee. So, I do wonder how much, demand there would be. I would have to imagine that it's going to be less initially than what the wave of sellers that are, they've told themselves, maybe they bought 3 cycles ago, right? They told themselves once it gets to 100K, I'm going to be out of this, or I'm going to sell like 80% or something like this. I do think there'll be some heavy selling at 100K because it's just such a significant psychological number. I mean, there's not many assets in general that reach 100K, right? Because there's stock splits, there's all kind of complications, but 100K is just it's such a big round number. Thanksgiving, I think, is also an interesting buy side dynamic. Kids going home, and not just kids, but anybody going to around the table with people who are crypto uneducated and educating them, increasing the awareness in general, especially at a time when Bitcoin is at all-time highs. It's a very intriguing. It's not so much, haha, look at this weirdo with his internet coins. Now it's, oh my gosh, little Jimmy is making some serious cash from his Christmas money. What the heck? Right. We got to get in this too. So, I think there will be a bit of a Thanksgiving boost. In fact, I did some analysis years ago in the last bull cycle, and there's very few times that the days after Thanksgiving are bearish. So I'll run that again and see how accurate it is now that we've gone through a whole nother cycle. But Thanksgiving can definitely be a big boost. It's tough for me to say, but I think if you really needed me to give you a response, I'd say probably we do reject it at 100,000, coming back all the way to 80K. I think that's a little bit too far. I think probably 85, 87, probably going to be the lower limit.
The only reason I say that, again, we've showed this on the show before, historically, alt season comes with a 30% correction in Bitcoin. I think the market's more mature. I don't see 30%, and that would send us back down to 70K, obviously. I don't think that's happening. 20% might be a little high. I've said 15. 15 to 20 is my zone. 85 to 80K is kind of where I'm looking. Someone in chat, entry work, I think, said altcoin season's already started. And here's the thing. I understand why you would think alt season has started. And I'll be the first to tell you this season has been different than previous ones in so many ways. But here's what I'll say. When we say alt season, we don't mean alts are doing nothing or don't have any pump whatsoever, or even that Bitcoin has been a better return on investment than every single altcoin out there. Even back in 2021, if you were to follow certain coins between like when Bitcoin started around September into December, there were certain coins out there that had better investments. But the altcoin space as a whole was not as good of an investment as Bitcoin alone. And at the moment, with Bitcoin dominance, if you go to my screen here, still hovering above 60% here, Bitcoin as a whole is still a better investment than altcoins at the moment. What true alt season will look like, though, if anyone is wondering, what true altcoin season will look like is this chart back here, like December of 2020, January 2021, where Bitcoin dominance falls off a cliff. Or like back here, back in February of 2017, when Bitcoin dominance had been so high, and then February comes and boom, it falls off a cliff. Those two dates have corresponded, like I said, with 30% pullbacks in Bitcoin price. While altcoins don't pull back with Bitcoin, they end up shooting to the upside. So what we're watching here, for anyone who's wondering about alt season, it doesn't mean just because altcoins are already pumping that alt season has started. Alt season is when Bitcoin drops decently. I'm dramatically is a strong word, but drops decently. But at the same time, altcoins shoot up and the Bitcoin dominance chart comes crumbling down. That's the defining factor of alt season. It has not happened yet, but I think it's very close. And I think there's certain coins out there. I mean, this is what I would tell you guys. Think of the coins that nobody's talking about right now. We probably won't see like a 300% rally on SUI or XRP like overnight. There will be some coins though that people have been sleeping on, and I'm not even going to say their names because I don't know. But my prediction is there's going to be a coin that people have been saying is dead. It's not going to make it. It's terrible. And it will feel like within a couple of days, that sucker's going to be up 200, 300%, and it's very much back and alive. That is altcoin season, and that's coming very, very close.
I've got something for you really quick, just to further educate folks. This is a graphic that you'll want to take a screenshot of. It's very, very helpful in identifying altcoin season. Is it going to be perfect? No. But one of the big things to realize is that phase 2 of the altcoin season is Ethereum sets an all-time high and its dominance sharply increases. We have not seen, and I still believe we will see, Ethereum reach an all-time high and its dominance sharply increase. And from that point on, alt season will be on. There will be a chase to find the best altcoin. Another way to say that is alternative coin to what? To Bitcoin. Find the next Bitcoin, right? That's the whole thing that's going to be happening. Of course, you know that there is no other Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is on its own. It's in a league of itself. But the people who are not yet in Bitcoin and just downloaded Coinbase yesterday, they do not know that. And they are going to be told that that is the truth. And that is the way that altcoin season works. And that's okay. Because if you've been buying altcoins low, you are going to benefit from that gap in knowledge.
I see a lot of people in chat predicting what coin that could be that does it. By the way, I didn't mean to say it like it would only be one coin. There'll be several. But a lot of people asking if Pole is going to be that chart. Pole fits the bill. And I've told you guys before, I'm not really bearish on anything. But if you had to tell me one project that I'm just very skeptical of because of its demand in the future and what it's be used for, and I see Retro Mike Tech is very bullish on it. Hey, I would love to be wrong. Pole is one that I'm confused about. I just don't know if it's going to have a sustained bull market. But hey, absolutely, it's on the table as being one of those coins that could have a massive pump with an alt season happening and Bitcoin falling. Also, kind of wrapping this up, alt season doesn't mean the end of Bitcoin's rally. It means a temporary Bitcoin pullback. Then Bitcoin will rally and go to new all-time highs as well. But at the same time, the money will just continue to flow into alts at a high level. If Bitcoin doesn't make it back down on the dominance, that's fine. I still am expecting a return back down towards 40% dominance for Bitcoin. Why? Because the more and more the markets pump, the less of a return you could expect on Bitcoin, and the more likely newer retail investors will look for a greater investment trying to make more money. They'll go into other altcoins. I vividly remember back in 2021 talking to a friend who misunderstood the markets, but it tells you about how new investors said. He said, Tim, at the time, I think Ethereum was probably like $1,000 or $2,000. It was low, and Bitcoin was sitting at like 50,000 or something. And he's like, Tim, I have $5,000 to invest. If I invested in Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to 100K, I just double it. But if I invested in Ethereum at 2,000, then it'll 50x when Ethereum gets to 100,000. And it was one of the things like, oh, honey, sweetie, that's not how that works, buddy. But it was that concept of that's how newer investors will think. They're not going to come in here just blindly. They're going to look at things and say, this will probably make me more money. So I'm going to invest in these things. What are those things going to be? They're going to be some of these smaller altcoins. So that's the reason why we start to see the dominance fall off a cliff, but then you'll continue to see it fall to the downside as altcoins just look like much better investments, not only for retail, but watch institutions be the same way, that they want to make some wealth and add some money to their balance sheet. They'll look for some of those higher potential altcoins to add rather than just going all in on Bitcoin. Yep. With that said, though, let's talk about some bullishness here with Bitcoin, because we have a great article coming in here that we're going to have a very crypto-friendly candidate taking the position potentially of Secretary of Commerce. T-Shroom, who is this, and why is this so bullish for Bitcoin and the crypto space?
Absolutely. So this is pro-Bitcoin Cantor CEO, that's Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnick, named U.S. Secretary of Commerce. He has hundreds of millions invested in Bitcoin, and he's not shy about it, right? He really likes Bitcoin. He's done well with Bitcoin, and he's recently been on some very big podcasts, kind of going around and talking up Bitcoin quite a bit, and other policies such as tariffs for the Trump administration. He has been selected, and this continues to solidify this being by far the most pro-Bitcoin administration of the U.S. executive branch that we've ever seen, and hopefully we'll continue to see this amount of bullishness in the White House. But I would have to say it's going to be pretty hard to top this one, even for Trump. So yeah, Howard Lutnick, we're excited to see him in there. Is he perfect? No, everybody's got a track record, right? You guys can go do your own research on him, but he is definitely a huge champion of Bitcoin and a big champion of Wall Street as well. No stranger to Wall Street. When you're the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, you definitely do quite a bit of comms there with the folks that are moving a lot of money around the world. So, Tim, any thoughts on that, or just general bullish momentum?
Just getting another person in a cabinet position that is going to be pro-Bitcoin is a win for Bitcoin holders and crypto holders out there. But let's talk about another major win, T-Shroom, for crypto holders, especially if the crypto you're holding is Kaspa. Guess what today is? It's the 19th, and we prepared you earlier this week. The announcement went out that Kaspa would be live trading on Kraken starting the 19th. Now, there's been a little bit of a sell-off. We're going to take a look at the news here in just a second. But T-Shroom, for anyone who's newer, right? They're newer investors. Maybe they've heard of Kaspa, but they're not really sure about it. Why is this headline such a big deal that is now being traded on Kraken?
Absolutely. Good question, Tim. So I have pulled up here what are considered to be tier 1 exchanges. Okay. So these are some top tier 1 exchanges, and those include Binance, KuCoin, Coinbase, Bybit. It kind of depends who you're asking, right? Which are going to be top tier. I'm not sharing my screen because I had FTX was popping up when I Googled that. And FTX is not a top tier.
Don't bring that evil upon us.
But the point is that Kraken is now listing Kaspa, and it is considered a tier 1 exchange. It's going to have deposits and withdrawals enabled. Trading is live, and there's geographic restrictions. So probably in New York, you can't do it. But this is really big, right? Because Kaspa is a fair launch coin, right? Which means that they don't have a bunch of coins set aside to incentivize these exchanges to list them. So they haven't been listed. And yet Kaspa was the top performing altcoin of 2023. And now we are here. They have forced the hand of these top tier exchanges. And now the only question is, when Binance, when Coinbase, and when Crypto.com. That's the question that everybody's asking at this point. How much longer until these other exchanges, Gemini, Qcoin, go ahead and list Kaspa. Of course, when that happens, there'll be more buy the rumor, sell the news events. But let's look at the charts now, Tim, and see exactly how it's played out.
Yeah, so I was looking at this earlier with our trading group, and the chart I was looking at was a little bit different than what we had. By the way, I can go ahead and get rid of these support levels we drew a while ago. We hit support level 1, hit it nicely right there, but we didn't get support level 2 or 3. So zooming out here, Kaspa, we were one of the channels, we had accused of a lot of things here, T-Shroom. I don't know if you've caught on in the comment sections. Depending on the day, we get called super bulls or perma bulls. And other days we're called perma bears, and no one can decide what they really want to do with us. The reason we get called that is because we take realistic perceptions of the markets. We get bullish when it looks like we should be bullish, and we get bearish when it looks like we should be bearish. Are we 100% perfect? Absolutely not. But I feel like we have a pretty good track record. And a while ago, when we go back to the screen, everyone was so bullish on Kaspa. And I was bullish long term, but I told people to be careful about this pattern. This rising wedge pattern that traditionally breaks the downside. And as we're up here back at resistance above 20 cents, I was telling people, don't be surprised if we're falling back down towards levels, back down towards, 11 cents, not 10 cents, possibly 9 cents. Didn't quite get that far. But people said we were crazy. We were perma bears. We were terrible. Looks like we were pretty darn right. And what's happening right now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this former support level, this zone, when we lost it, was immediately used as resistance. That was like just confirmation that we had a little while down to go. Then here a couple of days ago, we used it as resistance again, keeping this as resistance. But yesterday, we broke above, going back up to a level of resistance we talked about with our VIP trading group, back above 17 cents, and we rejected. And right now, our pullback, as this is live, is coming back. And at the moment, we'll take a look at some lower time frames to back this up, but it looks like, T-Shroom, Kaspa might be in the process of turning this former support turned resistance back into support. And this would just be amazingly bullish. Let's take a look at what the oscillators are saying here. We got a very clean look here. No bearish divergence. Are the oscillators high? Yeah, they're high, but they're not overextended. So I'm not necessarily that worried from a daily standpoint. Let's come back over and look at the 4-hour chart where, of course, if you guys were trading and looking at Luxalgo, you would have gotten a great trading signal back here with a sell signal, red reversal, bearish momentum, negative money flow, negative MACD. You could have sold this back down. But what I'm noticing here, T-Shroom, while the MACD and the Luxalgo oscillator, actually Luxalgo is giving us a green reversal dot, but we got to wait for the other two to join in. The RSI is absolutely showing us as we approach that 50 line once again, support is back on the table. Now I got to come down and take a look at the hourly chart, where the hourly chart is a little bit lower here. It's not showing us a buy signal just yet, but the MACD absolutely is losing momentum to the downside. The Luxalgo oscillator, we do have a reversal. We do have momentum that's going this way. We're looking at this money flow starting to curve. We're not seeing a reversal happen just yet, but I'm very curious if we start to come down here towards 15 and other minute charts, lower time frames. There's some mixed bags here. It's not quite ready. Okay, we'll come back to the hourly chart. I think there's a chance we could, keyword here, could drop a little lower, despite the fact that the MACD is turning here a little bit. Let's find where support looks like, but we're seeing almost every one of these time frames start to say that it's time to keep an eye on a reversal here for Kaspa. And we're sitting at the moment, T-Shroom, back on top of a take profit from a sell signal on Luxalgo. We have some liquidity that we just took out in this area, this bright liquidity. But what I'm looking at, I think there still is an absolute chance that this order block and lower take profit levels closer to 15 cents is on the table. What I mean by on the table, I'm not guaranteeing it, but what I'm saying is we're seeing a lot of these lower time frames start to say, hey, yes, we've been falling. Yes, we're under a sell signal, but we're hitting some major support. I think, T-Shirt, we're going to see between these categories right here in this zone, once again, between here at 15.9 and down here at 14.9, give or take. That's going to be our pocket, our zone to keep an eye on for a bounce. And if that does happen, this support level will end up being reused and be a catalyst for why Caspa breaks to new all-time highs during that altcoin season here very, very, very soon. This is what I would almost say. Like, next up is like, Tim, what do I do with this information? How do I invest in this? All right, first of all, I'm not a financial investor. You guys do what you want. But let's pretend I'm the type of person who wants to buy Caspa, right? I believe in it long term. I believe in the fundamentals. I want to get it. And I have $1,000, T-Shroom, to buy Caspa. What would I do if I was that type of person? Here's what I'm going to do. Because we're sitting on support even at the moment, I'm going to deploy $500. I'm going to do half right here, right at this spot where we currently are, because I think there's a good chance that support level is in. But I'm going to save $500. Okay, I'm going to save $500 for the chance to buy in here at 15, pretty much on the penny, right? 15 cents on the penny. If I get this executed correctly, I will have an average buy-in somewhere here in the world of 15,500. But you might say, all right, Tim, that's great. That's a great strategy if we do something like this. What happens if we do bounce right here? I bought my 500. Where's that other 500 being deployed? Some of you might not like this, but this is good. This is just good, solid ways to trade crypto. I'm going to buy it upon the breakout of this high back here set yesterday, up around 17.7 cents. And now I'll have an average buy-in somewhere here around 16.8. Is that as good as 1,000 right here? No, not necessarily. But this is all about the world of investing and playing out the probabilities and making sure you get a good entry on a trade. We say this so often. People try to make perfect buys and perfect sells, and they end up ruining and wrecking their portfolios time after time. Change the word perfect for good. And in this case, this is a good buy spot. This is a good buy spot. This is a good buy spot. All three of them are good buy spots. The question is, how can you keep it at the lowest potential average possible? And that's the strategy that I would use if I had $1,000 to invest in Caspa right now. T-Shroom, any thoughts from you before we transition away from Caspa? We got some big news coming out of China, but I want to wrap this section up with a nice, pretty bow.
Absolutely. Well, we got a unique offer for you guys. It's going to be a webinar. We've never done a webinar before, but we got a webinar. I want to give my quick take on Caspa, though, first. You might be wondering, why are the bros even talking about Caspa? Who cares about Caspa? Well, Caspa is one of the only proof-of-work blockchains that is promising a big smart contract upgrade very, very soon. So there's a lot of bullish catalysts coming up. We saw one realized today, right? So it's positive momentum. We'd love to see that here at the Bros. Positive momentum for Caspa. It just got listed on a big exchange. It means more liquidity, more people can go in and buy it once they learn about what Caspa is. It's a proof of work. And guess what other coin is? And very few are proof of work today. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is proof of work. If you didn't know that, welcome to crypto. You've been in about a month. That's awesome. Make sure that you're continuing to educate yourself. That's my take on Caspa. Is a lot further to go because it is made in the image of Bitcoin, and it's very, very cool. Yeah. While other coins are proof of stake, Bitcoin is proof of work, and so is Caspa. All right, so we have
real quick.
Go ahead.
We got to address some things in chat. And then we'll transition here. First of all, people are asking where we buy Caspa. Well, you can buy it on Uphold. Obviously, start today. You can buy it on Kraken. If you really want to get down deep in the weeds, there's dexes you can get. Just so you guys know where I buy Caspa, we talked about it with the sponsor of this video, CoinW. You can buy spot Caspa. You don't have to pay trading fees or anything else. You can buy spot Caspa over USDT over on CoinW. So go sign up with there as well if you're having trouble getting with Kraken or Uphold. Other thing, I saw it here, Diva Flow. By the way, Diva Flow was our winner of the Factoid giveaway last week. So shout out to Diva Flow. But he said, T-Shirt, I DM'd you in Discord for the $50 win last week. What should I do? So make sure that you get a hold of that. But he said something else that was very, very good observation here. He said it was to be very honest, he was very confusing. Not sure I realized I had a Tim scammer that DMs me. Okay. This is for everybody who joins our Discord, who does anything. If you've never been around Discord, first of all, we welcome you. We want you to be a part of our group. That's where all the magic happens here on the Investing Bros channel. But Every single person is going to get reached out to by probably a plethora of scammers pretending to be Tim, pretending to be T Shroom, pretending to be Crux. And I want to make sure everyone understands. And this isn't just for our Discord. If you ever join other people's Discord or do other things other places, I just want to protect you and make sure you don't lose money. Do not fall for scammers reaching out to you. It's not just me and T Shroom. Pretty much every major influencer that I know that has a Discord does not reach out and DM people. They communicate with people in the actual Discord, and they never ask you to send them money so they can invest it for you. They never ask you to join some secret group that nobody knows about, and then you have a $5,000 investment. If ever you get any of that, that is not us. We always tell you to DM us. Make sure you see our handle, our name. It's red in our Discord because we're staff members. Make sure if you are in Discord and you ever get reached out to, I want to let you know I love you and I would love to reach out to you. I don't have time to reach out to every single person on Discord, but if you think that I've reached out to you, that is not me. I will never reach out to you. T-Shirt will never reach out to you. You reach out to us. That's how this works. But just so you know, we hear you, Diva. You're going to get your money. We'll get it figured out. Make sure T-Shirt will check after the show is over. Diva Flow. He'll check to make sure he gets his DM from you, and we should be good.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen. It's
time to transition, T-Shirt, into a very exciting story. Story. How bullish this is going to be, it's yet to be really determined. But we have been talking about what will happen when China goes pro-crypto. Give you guys a little bit of background. China has had a very hot and cold relationship with crypto. At times, they'll legalize it. Then they'll ban it. They'll allow Bitcoin mining. Then they'll ban it. More recently, while China has not allowed the people of China to actually invest in crypto, they have made it legal to start mining there again. We're seeing the thawing as China warms back up to crypto. But all of that is nothing compared to the headline that we are reading today, as a court in China, and I have a lot of thoughts on this one, T-Shirt, but a court in China might be about to change everything for how crypto is handled. What do you got for us in the news on that, T-Shirt?
All right, so just so you know, a little bit more context, Tim, you did a good setup here. I have not seen this headline in many places. So the first place I saw it, I checked 2 other places, and this is real. So this is Wu Blockchain. The Shanghai High Court of China stated that virtual currency as a virtual commodity has property attributes and is not prohibited by Chinese law. That is very, very big statement right there. Potentially a multi-$100 billion statement. However, virtual currency related business activities are strictly restricted, and Chinese law and regulations have always maintained a high-pressure crackdown on virtual currency trading and speculation activity. So 2 big things here. Is not prohibited by Chinese law, and Shanghai Court of China. This is not the Hong Kong courts, right? This is mainland Shanghai.
Mainland China, yeah.
So this is mainland China. This is very, very big. It's not Beijing, right? If it had been a Beijing High Court, that would have been the only way that this would have been more bullish. But the way this reads, right? It's very bullish, not prohibited by law, and then disclaimers. But however, virtual currency related businesses are strictly restricted. Blah 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 blah. Bitcoin, right? That's what it kind of reads to me. Is Bitcoin is the one that is probably going to. It is kind of known as a commodity in the West.
Yeah.
Ethereum and the others, Solana, Cardano, AVAX, Chainlink, on down the line, those are probably going to remain restricted. But Bitcoin, it looks like, is going to fall under a separate category where there may be some exceptions made by the high courts here. Early days, right? This is just a headline. Things move slow when they're at very high level government, things like this. But that is very encouraging. Tim, what are your thoughts here on this one?
So this is when I saw the headline. We found this headline literally minutes before going live. So this is, I don't know if it's breaking news, but it's not just out there floating all over the internet. I expect most of you guys are hearing this information for the first time. So still wrap your head around this, although this is something I have been expecting for a while. But let's make sure to put on our thinking caps here and break this down. Because if you're in the United States, or even as much as I think this stuff is going in the wrong direction, if you're in Western cultural countries that are democratic to some extent, we're very used to courts ruling against the interest of the government all the time. right? In fact, that's what covers a lot of news headlines, especially in the U.S., when the Supreme Court will do something that the acting government doesn't like. That's a very big deal. That's part of being a democratic state. We're not talking about the United States. We're not talking about a court in the United States is deeming something against the U.S. government. We are talking about a court in mainland China, communist China, where nothing happens without the permission of the Communist Party of China. T-Shroom, I have been speculating for a while now that the government of China realizes that their only path to competing with the U.S. dollar is to go Bitcoin. But they'd had such a strong stance against it that it was going to be difficult, and they were going to have to make some massive changes. This court is not going against the wishes of the government. Why? Because they would get in trouble very quickly. I don't know if anyone in here is from China, either actively or formerly, but you would be able to tell us better what it's like to live in China and be in a differing opinion than the government. That doesn't work out for you, even if you're in the court. I believe, T-Shroom, this is a convenient permission loophole given by the Chinese government because they want to go pro-Bitcoin. They want to go pro-crypto, but they don't want to look stupid or silly. Nobody likes to look stupid or silly. So they're coming with a roundabout reason to be like, oh, no, you mean the courts are telling us we don't have the right to restrict? Okay, well, I guess if the courts say it, then we have to. But all along, they just gave the permission. That's how I'm reading this right now, T-Shroom. Do you disagree with that? Do you know of a lot of other stories where Chinese courts are countering the government and it's okay and they're getting away with it?
No, definitely not. No, and the CCP is one of two extremely powerful parties in the world. Right now, it's the Republican Party and the CCP. Right, it's about to be the Republican Party. Currently, the Democratic Party. The point is, I think what this is more than anything is it's an opening of the door, right? I don't think that all of a sudden, Chinese people are going to be able to log on to Binance and buy Bitcoin. I don't think that's where we are yet. I don't even think that that's going to be the case for, the highest class of, financial classes in China, right? I think what this is, it's an opening of the door, seeing maybe how other important people, important offices and individuals around the world react to this headline, seeing how their own, the people of China react to this headline, and seeing how, different groups within the CCP, react and how this kind of goes. But China probably should be moving quick on this by my estimation, by the estimation of, somebody like Michael Saylor. China is way behind on acquiring Bitcoin, even though they have about as much as the United States government. They're still way behind in terms of their economy and the level of education of their people to develop on Bitcoin and there's certainly their banking industry to custody Bitcoin at scale. So all of this, I think, again, is kind of an opening of the door. They're seeing Donald Trump win an election outcome, and they're thinking to themselves, hey, maybe this Bitcoin thing is something we need to reconsider. I think it's kind of going from, maybe not from A to B or A to Z, but maybe going from A to F, right? They're testing the waters. They're seeing what it would be like to let in Bitcoin first, or something like this. So that's kind of my read on it as of right now.
No, I agree with you 100%. It's like putting a frog. You don't put the frog into the boiling water. Mm-hmm. In this case, the frog is the Chinese people, and the boiling water is being able to trade crypto. You put it in lukewarm water, and then you turn the heat up. It's going to be a process to get here. But again, the reason for this is because China, I mean, I don't think I'm breaking any shells for anyone here. China and America are enemies, okay? They are enemies. There's reasons why we aren't going to fight each other and go to war, but we are enemies for many reasons. And they want to get rid of the U.S. power. They want to get rid of the power of the U.S. dollar, but they can't do it with their broken currency. They got to find a different way. They are going to do it by going the crypto route. Why is this so bullish? Not only, I mean, a lot of people are going to hit it right on the head and be like, oh, this is going to be Chinese liquidity coming in. That's awesome. Even more of it. Hey, that's bullish. That's great. You want to know what makes me even more bullish? Is because as China emerges and wants to adopt more crypto, especially more Bitcoin, just as Jason Lauer put it in his book he wrote, I can't remember the name of the title.
Soft War.
It will become it will become like the Cold War all over again as nuclear weapons are coming back, but this time it's a financial weapon. And it will force the United States to say, you know what? We have a lead on China and we cannot afford to give that lead up. We need to be more heavily invested in Bitcoin. We need to be more crypto friendly. We cannot allow the Chinese government to surpass us. That is bullish for Bitcoin holders all over this world. This is an amazing headline. But guys, let us know in the comments. Let us know in chat. What do you guys think? It is time for us to move on. It's 3:50. We're going to get to our factoid of the day. Now, today's factoid, T-Shirt, I'm going to start it and let you take over. We have a sponsor for our factoid today, but I think a lot of you guys need to listen to this one. I think there's a lot of you out there right now. Luckily, you're able to listen to us, but probably some of you are sitting at your job. You don't like your job. You really hate being there, but it's what pays the bills. And you know what? We're big believers here at the Investing Bros that until you actually have the plan and structure to live financially free and not work, we tell you do not retire. Continue to pay the bills, continue to stack sats, buy Bitcoin as much as you can, but keep some form of an income. But you know what? There's some of you out there that are getting close to ability to go out and start your own business. You just don't know what that is. Well, we are partnering with a company that would be an amazing opportunity for people out there that are looking to become their own boss, to jump into a thriving world and get away from their dead-end 9-to-5 they have currently, be their own boss, work their own hours. T-Shroom, what is that company and what are the details we're talking about right here?
Yeah, absolutely. So just plain and simple, the name of the company is Property Stewards. They do this. They build a successful business with a unique franchise like Property Stewards. Founded in 2007, Property Stewards is a home service and property maintenance franchise in the United States with a project and retainer-based offering. Look, we've decided to partner with Property Stewards. We have a very close relationship. The founder is my uncle, okay? Not going to make any buts about it. Like, that's what it is. You're going to, more than likely, if you've been tuning into the Investing Bros for, especially through 2023, you have invested into very low-priced assets that, as you can tell, moving into the end of 2024, have done well, right? There's a good chance that you will have done something around like turning $20,000 into $200,000, right? It's not quite enough to retire on, but it is enough to invest in a new business. And this won't be for everybody, but this could be a great opportunity to build a recession-proof business for yourself. And in the franchise model, you are given the keys to success, and you're also helped along to start that business. If you have any interest in this, go ahead. There is a link down in below to the webinar. It's going to look like this: the Property Stewards webinar, December at noon on the 14th. Again, this is not going to be for everybody. If you're sitting there and you're like, I don't care about this at all, totally get it, right? You're here for crypto, but this is an opportunity that maybe somebody that wants to diversify into, kind of more of a real estate approach, especially after the bear market. This might be something to look into. Check out that webinar. We'll be reminding you all. It's going to be coming up quick, December 14th at noon. We'll see you there.
Sweet. All right, let's get into it. Factoid of the day. Pretty soon, just people wondering, he's in chat. Pretty soon, Smay will be on the show in a capacity. We're getting him all set up to do that. He'll be working with, let me make sure I say this correctly, he'll be working with the Factoid Elf.
That's right.
So that T-Shroom is going to be a part of these. No longer does T-Shroom get to laud over me how dumb I look. He will also be on the table and be questioning his intelligence. But for now, it is still only me answering these questions. T-Shroom, what do you got for me today?
All right, Tim. Who was the first billionaire? Was it John Davis Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, or Cornelius Vanderbilt? What is the answer here? Who was the first billionaire?
Carnegie. I'm not saying that's my answer.
You're just saying it.
I'm just saying his name. It's obviously going to come down to who is first, because I think all of these guys are billionaires.
Correct. That is part of the answer, or the question. Yes.
Rockefeller, I think, is a newer one, right? So Rockefeller built his wealth, I think, in the 19. I'm really leaning towards Cornelius Vanderbilt or Andrew Carnegie, but I'm struggling to remember their timelines. I think J.P. Morgan Morgan and Rockefeller were both in the 1900s. I'm going to sound silly here, but for some reason, I think Vanderbilt was in the 1800s and Carnegie might have been the 1800s as well. I'm going to go D, Cornelius Vanderbilt.
All right. He's really taking his time with this one. Let's see if that pays
Did,
off.
did anyone in chat even agree with me?
Oh God, please!
It was
no.
Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Does the details of this have the timelines of when they were around?
Are you saying, do I have that available right now? No, I do not. But I can.
Well, what are you
I'm
good
going
for?
to show you.
No, what's our explanation here?
Is indeed the answer. John D. Rockefeller is often cited as the world's first billionaire, achieving the status in 1916, Tim.
Okay.
Through his ownership of Standard Oil, his wealth has multiplied to the point where the richest people in the world have fortunes that exceed 200 billion. Okay, so
when was Vanderbilt around? What were the years of what was his life? So obviously Rockefeller was born in the 1800s, but again, he became a billionaire in the early 1900s. So I wasn't off on that one. I just for some reason thought Vanderbilt came before that.
Oh, Cornelius Vanderbilt. Yeah, so he was born, if I recall, May 1794 in Staten Island, I think it was, and he died in.
So he never
January
became a
4th.
billionaire.
I don't know. Yeah, well, yeah, it doesn't seem like it because he, was alive only after
All right.
Rockefeller.
All right. This might be a.
What are we doing?
This might be a debate on it. Okay. All right. I guess here you go. What we have here says Cornelius Vanderbilt's net worth at the time of his death in 1877. So my timeline was right here. Was estimated to be over 100 million, which was the equivalent of 2.4 billion dollars today. So he wasn't a billionaire by definition. All right, I'll concede it was over. All right, A was correct.
He did not have the purchasing power of $1 billion.
No, yeah. Listen. I'm about definitions and technicalities, and technically Cornelius Vanderbilt was never a billionaire. What I'm comforted by is I did get my timelines of history correct. I was pretty certain that Vanderbilt came before Rockefeller. I just also thought that he was a billionaire as well. So it's all right. It's all right. I got it wrong. I'm gonna bow out with honor and dignity. That at least I got the history part of it correct.
Yes, absolutely. Got a couple more news headlines. I don't know how we got to these later. Do we want to cover them or just go ahead?
Yeah, we got like 3 minutes left here. We're not gonna. We were going to potentially talk about Aave, Doge, and Bonk. We will do that probably unless there's like a heavy news thing tomorrow. We'll probably spend a lot more time tomorrow looking at some altcoins. Also, by the way, tomorrow's live show, I think I saw someone ask for it earlier. We are going to be doing live on the show. It'll be going out on Thursday morning as our morning video. But tomorrow, if you want to get a head start on it, CASPA price prediction video tomorrow on our live show. Don't miss that either. But T-Shroom, what are the other news headlines popping up here as we end the show?
Absolutely. Well, you may recognize him here. It's Donald Trump. We never talk about him, but here he is.
Who's that guy?
He's looks like he's going to meet with Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. This could be very bullish for the stock Coinbase, and this could also potentially be a nod at one of the people who may be brought onto the crypto team. Of course, Brian Armstrong would definitely be appropriate to bring on, in my opinion. Another publicly listed company, LQR House, is going to buy $100 million worth of Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. This is now like the 5th day in a row that we've seen this. We've seen this trend of corporations looking at the MicroStrategy's playbook, looking at the MetaPlanet playbook over in Japan and saying, we want some of this. And now it's only a matter of time before the big boys, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, go ahead and buy Bitcoin. But there's already a company that's worth $1 trillion that holds a lot of Bitcoin, and that's Tesla, right? So it's not like these companies are going to be doing anything wildly innovative. They're just going to be late to the party. So we'll see.
Cool. Well, as we wrap out today's show, I have a question for people. Give me feedback in the comments, in the chat. What are your thoughts on DeSci? Would you like to see bros talk about DeSci in the future? I've been putting a little bit of brain power into it. It's a space that it perplexes me, and I think there's a case for why DeSci could be a massive part of the crypto bull market. But let us know in the comments what you think. It's time for the closing out of the show with Tim thoughts. And I want to reference anyone who was a part of our X space last night. It was an eventful evening. And we had, we had a person come in. I'm not going to talk about his name or anything else. We had a person come in who came in just to cause chaos, just to cause dissension, to have debate without any type of respect or any type of good faith. And I had to do something that I was hoping I would never have to do this ever, but it was something I had to do. We had to go ahead and remove him from the space. I had to block him, and I even told him to his while he was still on there. I told him, "Listen, man, you are not here in good measure. You are not here to have honest conversation. You are here to cause chaos. You are here to cause problems." I want to stress to people right now. I quoted a Bible verse, and I put it on X last night as well. But in Proverbs, Solomon, the wisest man the world has ever seen, says, "Do not refer to a fool in his folly, lest you become like him." And I want to kind of close out today's stream with you guys. We're in a crypto space where there's so much dissension and so much disagreement and so much arguing. I think that arguing and disagreement is a beautiful thing, but I caution you to make sure whenever you're having conversations and discussions and debates and you're countering points, to always make sure you're doing it with a level of a person who has respect for you as you have respect for them, and that you're both having the conversation in good faith, that the ultimate outcome is truth and not just one person being right and the other person being wrong. Because the minute you cross into having those conversations with people like we had last night, with people who want nothing but to create chaos and want to be a fool, when you engage with fools according to their own folly, you end up finding yourself being just like them. Know which conversations are worth having and know which conversations are worth walking away from. This is a community in which we want to encourage, uplift, and grow our understanding. If you love that about us, I encourage you to come in and watch the show every single day, to join our Discord, to join our members. You're going to learn a whole lot. And guess what? If you have a thought that differs from mine or T-Shrooms or Crux's, I want to hear about it. I want to stretch my mind with you as we work out our wealth of the future. But we will not allow people in this community to come in and cause problems like a wolf in sheep's clothing, to distract and discourage and to hurt people. And I encourage you, don't surround yourself with those types of conversations either. It's not an issue of not loving that person. It's actually helping that fool realize that when you're foolish like that, no one wants to have a conversation with you. And hopefully, I pray that people that are like that change their ways, turn around, and come back to the good-hearted nature of conversations. But with that said, I want you guys to know I love you. We will see you tomorrow. There's a 10 a.m. live show with T-Shroom and Crux. We'll be back for 3 p.m. live shows. Q&A, as my voice gets better, I'm going to take today off of Q&A. T-Shroom's going to take over for me here at 4 p.m. So all of our members come in with questions for him. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Adios.